Hello, my name is Sue Croft, and I'm just doing a little video today to try and help those ladies who are having trouble when they have a weak pelvic floor and they are having trouble coordinating how to turn the muscles on and how to turn them off and how to breathe. So sometimes people have weak pelvic floor muscles because there is what we call a levator avulsion, where the muscle has literally at vaginal birth suffered some trauma. So it might be a little partial, few little fibers torn, it might be a little bit more significant. It can be unilateral or it can be bilateral. But sometimes women with vaginal birth also have some nerve damage. So we might be able to feel some reasonably good bulk there, but they can't seem to get to the connection between the brain and the pelvic floor. And the third category might be someone who's actually not had a vaginal birth at all. And so there is no real rhyme or reason why they're having difficulty in connecting with those muscles, but for whatever reason, they're having trouble getting the sensation of lift and the sensation of drop and how to actually breathe without holding their breath. So one of the first things is if you use a visualization of using like a little image of the pelvic floor, the inside part, the brain's never actually seen that. And so one of the things that can help you is if you actually get a visual on what the muscles are. Now I'm doing this at home, so I haven't got my little cueing card that I use, a little business card that actually has a picture of the pelvic floor, the model of my pelvic floor on there, and it has both sides. So it has the internal part where it's showing the deeper levator muscles and obturator internus, and it has the, flip it over and it's got the external anal sphincter and the superficial sort of a part about the introitus, the opening of the vagina. So when you're using your little image, and you can do that simply by going on the internet. If you haven't got one of my books, you can see in the books, you can see a picture of that and you can use that. But if you use that and you visualize what you're trying to work, the other thing that helps you breathe and not have to connect your in breath with lifting and your out breath with letting it go, and therefore you hold your breath, sometimes it helps if you actually talk. So you count. If you count 1001, 1002, 1003, or you might just talk out loud, what your name, your address. You might talk as though you're talking to your toddler. You might read out of the toddler's book, so you can be doing that while you're actually reading the book. You can concentrate on trying to get some activation, some lift and some drop. If you have muscles that are not responding very well with the connection in the brain, sometimes your other global muscles, the bigger muscles around the pelvis, such as the inner thigh muscles, such as the hip flexors even, and the gluteal muscles. Always your abdominal muscles come in to a certain extent, but some people have trained themselves to really overuse their abdominal muscles, thinking that doing the core and in inverted commas is really important. And so they've really overemphasized that because the pelvic floor is not responding. It's not so easy for them to connect with. And so one of the things that really is important is to get that connection, have those words vagina, anus in your head. So you are trying to cue the vagina and the anus. Sometimes cueing the thought of lifting and squeezing. And the other thing is trying to bring the 2 points of your urethra and your anus closer together. So if you shorten those 2 points, then the muscle is going to lift and draw up. So think of the vagina, anus, keep your focus there. Yes, you will find your abdominal muscles coming in to a certain extent. Try not to overemphasize those. And what you're going to do is just start with breathing in and breathing out. And if you do some tummy breaths or belly breaths to start with, then you get a nice relaxation of the pelvic floor where everything starts down at its nice relaxed state. Then while you keep breathing, and as I said to you before, if you talk, then you can't be holding your breath. So as you keep breathing, you're gently trying to recruit. And if you do it very gently, you gently try and recruit. And think of those images of drawing the 2 points, urethra and anus, closer together. Think about drawing in the vagina and keep breathing. Now, sometimes you'll feel or be aware or wondering if the muscles have dropped. And what we want you to do is try and re-recruit the muscles every 2 or 3 seconds. So you're trying to lift and squeeze and keep breathing and keep breathing, and then relax and let the muscles go. If you start by just trying to build to 3 seconds, and then you might go to 4 seconds, and then 5 seconds, and then gradually just increasing it, but all the time keep breathing, or keep talking, or keep reading out loud to your toddler, whatever it is. And don't get too worked up and upset if it's not really coming together. Just try and do short periods of time, and then that will get better as you get more practiced at it. If you're using a biofeedback device like a PeriFit, then that gives you some awareness, of course, that it's dropping away. And sometimes it's easier just to actually pull it on and squeeze and keep breathing while you're doing the PeriFit, rather than worrying so much about how strongly you're doing it. So when you do your calibration on the PeriFit, just make it very gentle so you're able to maintain that for longer periods of time while you're doing training, and do a very simple program. So if the particular game that you're using is confusing you, just flick it on and try the next one until you find one that's very simple and you don't have to overthink what you're doing. Finally, do the exercises in short little grabs, because if you're having trouble, your frustration levels will rise. So do a few and then relax and have a break, come back a couple of hours later, do another couple. But the important things to keep breathing are just keep breathing. Don't worry about are you breathing on the in-breath or the out-breath, just keep breathing. Sometimes to help you keep breathing, it helps to talk. Sometimes to talk without sounding silly, you can read to a toddler. Sometimes you can sing. You can sing a song that you really know and just try and work your pelvic floor while you're singing that song you really know, or humming that song you really know. You can't hold your breath if you're singing or humming. So I hope some of those ideas help you, but also it is really important, don't get frustrated, don't throw the towel in, because we do need to build on that idea of how to connect with your pelvic floor. Okay, I hope this one helps. See ya.